What's up, everyone? So we've got an awesome one here. This time we're doing a 20-gallon long. I've already kind of started setting up some of the pieces inside, just getting ahead of myself here. But I'll show you and I'll walk you through what I've done. So this tank, just your traditional 20-gallon long, kind of just your standard screen mesh lid. Nothing too crazy fancy, but what's going to be awesome about this is I'm doing a full throttle giveaway for one of you. So it's this 20-gallon long tank with the standard lid, and it's going to be a full build. So I'm going to do my kind of typical, what I like is full cord background. I might even do sides on this one. I'm going to see when I get there if I want to build the sides with cork as well. But this is going to be more of a temperate kind of build, where maybe temperate forest type look, have full plants, have some cork tube tunnels. I think I'm going to have some layers to it. This is going to be a fun one. It's going to be one of yours. So definitely, subscribe, like, and drop the comment. If you want a chance to win this bad boy, then follow those instructions. This thing's fully cleaned. It's ready to go. It's dry. If there's any glass smears or whatever like that, which there probably are from cleaning it and stuff, I don't care about that because I'm still going to be doing a bunch of work and making it messy. So worry about the little fine glass detail cleaning afterwards, because I'm going to be putting a full background in here. So I've got a few tubes of the typical silicone I use. Talked about it in previous vids. If you want to hear my 2 cents on the different ones to use, go check out those past videos. I can put a link down in the description for these panels that I buy, and then I use these panels and I break them up and piece them together the way I like. So if you guys want to do something similar, go ahead. So right off the bat, this first piece, I like something I would do with a piece like this because of the factory edges, and I don't really like those factory edges showing somewhere. I would put right in the corner, like something like that. That'd be a great piece for the top or the bottom. You got an edge and an edge, looks nice, and then a broken corner can mate other pieces up to it. We'll probably do that. This guy, I like that. I like that. Okay, it's got potential. So we got that one. We got that one. Got all these other ones. Ooh, this one. That's pretty sweet. I don't like it. This one's too plain. This one's nice. Got some deep textures. Pretty thick piece. Definitely use that. Got some other little ones. So yeah, got options here. Some of these little pieces always keep. They're kind of fun. You can cover up stuff with them when you want. Changes happen as this progresses. So as I get further into it and things go along, and okay, this is the shape now and this is the size now, I make changes as I need to that. Or maybe I come up with a new idea while I'm doing it, things of that nature. So right now, this is what I've got from the cork panels. I have used a whole pile back here, and I'll show you guys what I've got going on here. So you can see this is the same size as what will be right here on the background. So like this would be up here in the top right corner. But that's kind of how I like to piece these together. So you get a really good idea this time on, I take the big panels from, their 15 by 11 size. I break them up into different size pieces. So that's what they start as. And then they go into this, and I just break them, whether it's the way I need to break or the way they kind of naturally break, or I want a specific chunk on a piece, like it has a knot or a certain knurl or something that I really like. I'll try to break around that. Sometimes the way they break, like this one with a straight edge and a straight edge, perfect corner piece. So that went right there. And then I kind of match them together how they best fit while I'm just like feeling different pieces. And that's kind of part of the fun for me, is finding these different pieces that will match up quite well with one another, just like that, and this piece here, and that, and then the little bend here. They all match up very well. It's like putting a puzzle together with a bunch of different cork pieces that I broke out of the panels. And I really enjoy this. It's a lot of fun. It definitely breaks up the look compared to just, putting one full panel or two panels, whatever, in here. It does take more time for sure. It's a bit more messy, but really not that big of a deal. Again, it's the fun for me, and I enjoy this creativity side of it. So, and you can give it more of a 3D pop as well. So then all my lines, like where the pieces all meet together like this, where there's the gaps, I'll put little pieces like this over those little parts and hide those things. So I might take a chunk like this and put it in here and glue it down, different better fitting ones. Or like, okay, I've got a chunk like this. Where's a big hole in here? Where could I put, something, I don't, like that? Or that's kind of what I'm doing here with this idea. Here I have everything laid out. I did it the hard way for some reason, rather than just making like a cardboard template that's the same size as this panel, and then building these on top of that cardboard to know exactly the right size, which is the best way to do it, so you're not moving everything twice. I just was like, oh, this is the same size as this. I'll build them on here, or lay them out on here, and then have to move them out of here, then silicone this, and then put them all back in. Whatever. I would recommend taking an outline of this, like with cardboard, and then putting all these on cardboard. But yeah, I've got all these pieced out now. Like everything's where I want it to be for full enough coverage. There's a little on the bottom, like I said, but that'll be covered. Got some gloves, and we're going to get to siliconing now. So kind of the same thing I did on some of my other videos, if you've seen them, where I'm just going to, lay the beads down on the back, and then I'm just going to smear an even layer everywhere. If I need to, on some really thick pieces that might be pretty concaved or warped, then I'll put some extra beads on those so they really have good full contact on the background. And yeah, just a side note, I wanted to say, if you ever have these perfect full panels like this, and you just don't know where to break them, and you just can't bring yourself to do it, just do it. Just start breaking it. Just pull, snap. They're going to break along some natural lines that they have, or they're going to break in half. They're going to break a weird corner. But that's what gets you going on having different chunks and different options to choose from to puzzle together. Like, oh, wow, okay, now I found one. This will fit perfect here. This one will go here. And then eventually come up with this. And it's fun. So let me get this turned onto its back edge. Glove up. Trusty Rusty. So I think that one had about a 2-inch line left in it. So if you guys can't see, I cut this very large just so it empties it out quicker, because I'm going to use a lot here. So no need for little tiny beads, especially if you're just going to be spreading it around everywhere. Just going to take longer. Okay. Let's see how that does. Yeah, there's no like special secret to this part. It's just getting it rubbed on to cover most of the surface area of the glass. If you want, if you guys are want to be more careful to not make a mess, if you're not going to be careful while you're spreading this around, you can put the painter's tape up this side, on this side, and even on the top plastic rim on the back to keep all of that out of, or just so no silicone is going to get on it. And then we're just going to take what we've got laid here and match it. So if I have pieces that are super concave, that are, I'm exaggerating, but if they're like really bad and they're only going to have two edges that touch, then maybe you want to fill in more of those gaps, to make sure it's got more contact. But I've found even pieces that don't end up having high contact with the entire piece, but just on some points, always still stick and they almost never come off. So, but you want to try to make it so it's going to stay. So maybe like this one's not that bad at all. I wouldn't even worry about this one, but I'm just doing this for the sake of showing you. Take a piece if you want like this, and you can add a couple big beads in the center or where it's the most dipped down. And then hopefully those big chunks now in the middle are going to touch the glass. So I have that one up and over tight. Just giving it firm pressure everywhere, trying to make sure that it sticks or gets contact pressure, as much surface of it as I can. Things are going to shift a little bit. It's okay. I'm going to probably even go a little thicker on this back and just put some big beads everywhere on top of the full coverage. So that may be excessive. You may not even need this much, but so with those two tiny, that first tube you guys saw barely had anything in it. So basically this tube, which was about 3/4 full, and that tube covered this job. So I have another here with me right now. If I need to use it, I will, but we'll see. I think, honestly, this will probably make do. So I want to do the top pieces. Get that one in. Hope. Well, there it isn't. Just going back over there, pushing everything, making sure it's kind of where it is. And even if pieces feel like they don't have a lot of contact points, like I was saying earlier, if they even just have like 2-3 small points where they're fully just seated into that silicone, once that dries and cures, they're not going to come off. So Don't have to really be afraid of that. Now these overlay pieces is where you will probably have to put extra on the piece itself. Like if I'm going to put a piece like where a hole is and it's kind of sitting on top of the pieces around it, it's not going to be all the way down to the glass. So it's not going to hit that silicone. So that's one you'll want to actually put on itself to stick. So like this piece, I'm just going to cover the back just fully enough to where it should contact whatever I set it on, you know, but not too much on there where it's just going to spill out the edges. It's still made with this, but I can wipe it or add sphagnum or soil, whatever, like earlier I was saying. And these don't need to be perfect. These overlay pieces is kind of the point of them, is where you're getting that more. Now you're getting the 3D texture popping out and to break it up and different. And I like those. Sometimes they just fall where they fall. Okay. So that's pretty much that full base layer done dealed, pieced in. So you can see these big gaps and cracks in between the pieces is what I was talking about, where you can fill in with soil, cocoa husk, or whatever, sphagnum. I usually use, well, I use all of them different times, use different things. But I mean, that's for the most part how that's going to be going and how it's going to be sitting. And now some of the bigger, like this whole line here, I'll probably find a piece, put some silicone and put it on that. Maybe even like this big gap here, or some of those bigger gaps. So like that long gap, perfect. This long piece. Just put a little bead on it. Okay. And then that is just going to sit right there. And as I do this, I'm kind of just keep going back through everything, pushing down, putting the pressure on the pieces, making sure they're all seated. Okay. Where's another gap? Here. So like this piece would be perfect for going in that little sliver. Same basic shape, it'll fit. Even if it doesn't go all the way in it, I'm going to put it over it. And it's just going to cover that bigger gap without having to, squeeze it down into it. And it's just going to fit, give it that 3D pop out look. Excuse me. Add that. Put this on. And just like that. Just like that. It might stick out. That's okay. So looking at it straight on. Okay. See some of those bigger holes. Like that one there. Maybe this longer one. Obviously, that chunk. Just because that hole, even though I think this isn't a spot that's going to be totally covered up, I can still put something in it to fill the spot. Why not? That one fits perfect. Perfect. Cool. That goes there. So that one and that long one. Okay. This one will go in that long slot. What a beaut. Like it was meant to be. And I'm sweating a lot because, yeah, like I said, I'm a bit under the weather right now, and just a hot mess. So bear with me. I know I sound like the Squidward remix. Okay, gonna try too big, too big, too big. Let's see, too big. This too big for any of these. That could work. Too big. Just want to see what small pieces I've got. Try to just use those up for filling in these gaps. Oh, perfect. And that puzzled right into that piece perfectly. So I'll cover that one. I'm going to add a little bit down into this hole also. And then that's going to go down in that hole. Sweet. Oh yeah, I got this top piece up here. It's a bit open. I'll cover that in. Find a piece that fits that well. Maybe try to find some little ones that can go into these holes. And after that, I think we're probably pretty good. We're probably pretty good. And we can just go forward with the build, whether I'm going to let it cure for a couple weeks probably after this before I move on, or do I want to do cork sides? Still some spots, some gaps. Those will be filled, but I'm liking how much coverage that's got so far. And that's pretty much the full background. So now I can get some sphagnum or some soil and I'll throw it on there. And I'm not sure if I want to do full sides yet as well and have those cork sides come out. I'm always torn with projects on whether I only want the back or I want the back and the sides. I think it looks great when the sides are all done and you just kind of have your one viewing window and that's just your, everything's within that. It almost wraps it around better to where it's like it's all enclosed in that area, and whatever animal you put in, it's just got all of that area. The plants then and the cleanup crew and everything else also have that much more for the sides that they could grow on and go behind and crawl on. But I also tend to often use the sides on most of my tanks that I have to look through them pretty frequently and regularly. I'm always looking through the sides, not just the front. And I like what I can see through the sides because you can see things and look close at things you can't see just through the front. So it's always a which way do I go? I think I'm going to do the sides. So I continued pondering. I think I've come to a conclusion that I am going to do the sides also on this one. But I'm going to change it up where I'm not just going to do a full covered layer like I did on the background and spread it all everywhere. For this one, I'm just going to do on the back of the piece, each individual piece for the silicone. I want to see how far this tube will get me. This tube's about 3/4 left now. Let's see if we can do both sides. And I found this big piece I'm going to put right here. It fits perfectly from top to bottom. And it has this little straight edge which will go against the front. So that'll work good. So I'm just going to cover this with a healthy amount. Really, it's not about full coverage. It's honestly more about like making sure there's a thick enough amount that's going to contact like there, kind of double, triple, quadruple up this little bead. I could cut the tip of the tube bigger also, but I'm just going to leave it like this so I can continue to use it for the small ones easily. And then okay. Yeah, and those definitely contact for sure. It's just going to be harder to ensure that this stays because it's on the side now. Though I could flip this up. None of this is going anywhere. So this piece is quite concave. So I'm going to do where the edges I know are going to touch. That's what's going to get a lot. That's not me shaking, it's me squeezing the tube, and it's when I'm squeezing this super hard, it's bouncing. So like that, put this one in, push those spots down. Okay. That'll dry and it won't go anywhere. What's left here, this little kind of valley, is quite cool. So I might use some of these small ones and try to piece those in there. Because if I use a bigger one, I'm gonna just have, it's gonna have to be broken really specifically to fit into that. That piece, generous amount. And I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom over in that valley because I don't need to. I'm also going to leave this front corner open. I really think that actually looks kind of perfect. This leading edge and the cork goes all the way down. That was a natural break point. So I'm going to leave that corner open, which will be kind of a cool little accent. Nice. So this piece has its factory cut edge. I'm going to put that right up against the top. No, I can't break it. Okay, probably just a couple more here, and I'm going to call this side good. All right, so that is that side. So it's got that wrap around. All the bottoms are going to be filled, so it looks a little weird now, but it's not going to look bad. We got that filled. That side. I'm going to have that corner open. I think it's kind of a cool little touch. Stuff like that. Simple, fun. I'll probably paint the sides black around where the cork itself is, so we can do that. But now I'm going to let this cure. Probably going to be a couple weeks, fully off gas, fully dry, all those beads. You know, if this is the whole bead all the way internally into the middle, is going to be dried and cured. And that takes a while for this stuff to fully off gas like that. So once that's done, we'll come back and we'll get going on the next step. So it's been about 2 weeks, maybe just slightly over 2 weeks to fully let this cure, and it's all good, all dry, no more smell. Everything's good to go on this. So I'm just going to start with the next couple little things I want to do to give them a few days to cure. So this is a natural fungus. Should be totally fine in here. I've done this before in builds. This has sat for months drying, so there's nothing in it or living inside of it. It's like with pests or anything. And there's no smell, quite beneficial for the cleanup crew in here, like springtails, isopods. And it adds a really cool touch to like a temperate forest build climate like this one. So I'm going to put this in today. I already kind of know, like, just been messing around with spots where I think it fits. And there's only a couple, which is like on a nice flat piece on the background where I like it. And over here, it's a little low. So I think it's going to go right there, and it fits perfectly up against that piece. Like it was made to go there. So we're going to silicone that on, and then I'm going to paint the sides black. So I'll tape off everything I don't want to be painted, and then I'll mix up some paint. So I have this small little acrylic paint. It's water-based acrylic paint. I got just the darkest flat black that they could mix this up as. And then I have the little paint roller tray and a paintbrush, paint roller, and these different paint roller foam tips, whatever you call these. I don't know, the roller itself. They have all kinds of different ones. I'm not an expert on that. I just got one that said it was made for latex and acrylic based paints, because there's different types of these that say they're good for different kinds of paints. This one said it was good for this kind. So this is the type that I got. So I would just pay attention to that. I really don't know how different they are or not, but we'll mix this paint up really good. I know you want to do that. And then just pour a little bit into the pan, get it rolled up and roll it on. I'm also kind of playing with, I'm not sure how many coats this will take, if I can put it on one good solid coat the first try and that's going to be good enough, or if it's going to take a couple coats, like I'll have to let that dry and then come back and do a second coat. So I'll kind of figure that out as I go and see how this first coat dries, but let's dive in. Okay, so we're going to get the silicone put on.
Hang on.
And I'm just going to be siliconing right onto the back and then pushing it into the cork. So just kind of giving it a generous amount here on its back so it fills in really well. Just get that. Doesn't have to go all the way around the edges. That's quite a lot. So, and then I'm going to press it in on the piece where I've already kind of know I want it situated. And it sits really, really well in this spot. Pressed on nice. All right, so I've got everything all taped off that I don't want the paint to be on both ends. You guys didn't need to watch that. I've tortured you in other videos watching me in my paint process or my tape off process. So I've got the edges all taped. And then if you remember, I left this corner here open, and I want to leave that open for a viewing little hole on one side. So what I did for taping this was just 2 rows of full tape fit perfect to cover that hole. And then just shine a little light through the inside of the tank through the tape, and it shows you perfectly a shadow of where the cork was on the other side. And then just took a razor, like box knife, and cut and just followed that path. And then you just peel that excess tape off, and it gives you kind of a perfect little outline of where you want your paint edge to be. So that worked really easy. And then I also cleaned the glass on both sides really well. You can use like a 70% isopropyl alcohol, clean them off. And then I also just used a little razor scraper like this to make sure any excess silicone that was on the edges was fully scraped off and cleared. So I'm not just going to be painting over silicone, which probably, I mean, I'm sure it would bond because this paint says it bonds to all kinds of stuff, but I just want it to be as clean as I can. I've also tried to scuff the surfaces up slightly with this glass using like an 800 grit sanding block that I had, and just kind of went in a circular motion on both sides. And obviously I cleaned it after I did that, just to grit the surface up a little bit, because otherwise this paint, I guess it, once it's dried and time goes by, it can have a tendency to peel off of a perfectly smooth surface like glass. So I'm not sure. I don't have a lot of experience with that. So I just went ahead and tried to scuff it up slightly. I mean, it's not even visible from the naked eye, but you can slightly feel the scuffs I made. And I'm going to just go with that and see how that is and how it does. So I've been mixing this up, been shaking it like crazy for a while, a couple minutes. Just make sure it's shaken. All right. So that's the color. Definitely a nice dark flat black. The actual color of this was called something pretty funny. It's not, it's called limousine leather. And I can still see that it's not totally mixed up. So I got me a professional chopstick here to stir this up. I'm just going to pour some straight into the little paint pan. Hopefully not make too much of a mess. I don't know how much I'll need, but I don't imagine a lot. Set that aside. I guess these are called naps, like a nap roller tip. I'm not really sure. So we got that in there. Gonna get the roller all covered, roll along. And with this specific paint, it says to wait 2 hours in between recoats. So if I want to coat this again after this first one, then we'll wait 2 hours. All right, we're just gonna put it on. Hang on. I feel like multiple coats probably are just best, because you may not ever, you're not going to get this first coat perfect. Hang on. Yeah, and then I can see from the inside of the tank where there's some holes, looking at the glass, that there are some thin spots. Like you might, I don't know if the camera can pick up, but there's kind of a thin spot here and here. Those are holes on the bottom. I'm going to be doing 2 coats at least. We're going to call that good for the first layer. And then it says to give it 2 hours. So we'll give this at least 2 hours to dry and come back and repaint. But I'm going to do the other side now. So we'll get this flipped around. We'll get this second side going. Hang on. We're going to call that. So I'm going to clean this mess up, recap the paint can. We're going to wait 2 hours, then come back, and then we're going to do the second coat. Okay, so it's been a little over 2 hours, and now you can see this will be the final finish. So it's that dark, flat black. It actually looks really good. I think it came out really nice. You can slightly see that texture on it, which I don't think looks bad at all. But I'm still going to do one more coat now, just so the thin spots are fully covered, and I think that's all it should take. I think 2 coats would be really good. You kind of see inside there, through the bottom there where it's in the gaps. Definitely help to fill them in. Looks nice though. Not bad. Okay, so second coat going on. To hold these over in the meantime, also I just stuck this in a plastic sandwich baggie and sealed it up, because for a 2-hour wait, that's not that bad. That's a good enough. You don't have to fully like rinse this off to let it, it's not going to dry out in that amount of time. And then same with this, I just covered the paint tray with the bag and everything's still wet and good. So just roll it up. What do you think? That looks pretty good. And from the inside, looking through, there's no more thin spots. Like I can see from the first coat, I can see some thin spots where some light kind of comes through them a little bit. This one's like totally jet black now, looking through from the inside, which is perfect. Switch this around. Don't grab the wet paint. Okay, sweet. And then again, same with that side, looking through from the inside now, looks totally solid, dark. Perfect. So that's that easy. Super easy to put the stuff on. Just tape off where you don't want it. Like for this one, it was give it a 2-hour rest time in between coats. It says 1 hour dry, but 2 hours rest for applying multiple coats. I think 2 coats is plenty. That should be perfect now. So then I'll just let this dry. So now I'm going to start peeling the tape all off. I just took one little edge to see, but it's been about an hour since the second coat went on. And you don't want to wait too long for this to cure up, because then when you peel the tape, it will peel the paint with it. So you want to just let it firm up enough to where you can peel it when it starts to kind of get dry to the touch, like just a little bit. Like you can see there's still some wetness to it, but hopefully this is a good amount. Heck yeah, that came out really nice. That looks sweet. So just right on the inside of where that bark is, and so that's a little viewing window I left. So that's one side. Not too bad. And it's still drying, so it's going to take another hour or two to really actually be pretty dry to the touch, but then it takes 24 to 48 to like fully cure. Probably be at least a few days. I'll just leave all this to fully dry and be done, solid up, everything, and then we'll move on to the next one, which is actually starting the internal build. The fun part. Okay,